And hello, everyone. Welcome to another scene for Darkness in Dublin, Changeling venue. And we start this scene off with Willow Miller, the Celia Selkie that walks around in Dublin at the moment, I believe. Also, the only Selkie that walks around in Dublin at the moment. Um, who has been invited to the residence of Sir Falern to receive lessons in proper etiquette. She has been given the address, which is a little outside the city, and not really wanting to bother anyone, like getting someone to drive her. She's just gonna take a cab, and she'll arrive a little before the appointed time. She's wearing a rather heavy looking backpack. And yeah, we'll walk up to whatever house Falern is residing in.
Once you arrive to his address, you'll see that Flaren actually lives in a large estate. There's a long driveway up to the building proper. There's a gate, but if you announce into the intercom who you are, then you're let in.
Mhm. Yeah, she would do that, and then starts walking down the driveway. Which will probably take her like a few minutes to actually get up to the house. She is looking around rather impressed. I mean, she's seen these big houses, but from pictures mostly of like the internet or the occasional time that she actually gets to leave Dublin. But since she doesn't have transportation of her own, she rarely really goes outside. So yeah, this house is definitely very impressive to Willow, and yeah, she'll walk up, feeling incredibly small right now, um, and will either ring the doorbell or knock on the door or whatever means she can find to gain entry.
It, there's a doorbell, and when you ring it, a gentleman answers it. He's also dressed very well. Um, he's obviously some kind of butler. He will. He looks at you. He's actually an enchanted mortal. He's one of his Flaren's retainers. Uh, so he invites you in and takes whatever jacket you're wearing and leads you to a study off the main foyer.
Hmm.
Uh,
And since we did just check the weather and it was like 90% moist, yeah, she will hand him like a summer jacket that is probably like wet through and through. There's probably also wet stains on her t-shirt. Um, she doesn't really seem to care that much though.
yeah, you're sulky. It's nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah, he leads you into a study where Sir Flaren is. There's some nice, comfortable antique chairs. There's a fireplace and various artwork, all old. Nothing's really new. No modern art. No modern appliances. There's definitely a very old style feel to the study.
Hmm.
And behind a desk, Sir Falarin is looking at various documents for his daily businesses. And then the butler announces you, and Sir Falarin looks up. Willow, please
She'll
come have a seat.
she'll attempt to curtsy, which is definitely not made easier by the backpack that she still has with her. Um, she would have actually refused to give that to the butler. Um, yeah, we'll will sit on like the edge of the seat of one of the chairs. She looks a little nervous and definitely very much out of place.
Laren gets up and walks over to a wet bar and she crave for something to drink.
Oh, just water, please.
Okay. Uh,
If that's not too much trouble, of course.
no. He asks the butler if he could get you a glass of water, and he makes himself um, a glass of scotch on the rocks.
Nice. And Willow will very carefully like put the backpack next to her seat.
He comes and takes a seat. There's like a sitting area with several chairs meant for gathering. He'll take a seat across from Willow. As always, Flaren is dressed very immaculately, though he is not wearing his tie, and the top button of his shirt is undone, as he is quote unquote relaxing. But again, he's immaculately groomed, not a single hair out of place. And he sits and kind of leans back in the leather high back chair, uh, crosses his legs, just looks at Willow and takes a sip of his scotch.
She's sitting very much upright, hands kind of folded in her lap. She glances up occasionally. She's not looking at him directly. Can clearly, like I said, she looks very out of place. She doesn't quite know what to do best right now, how to sit, and like very conscious of her body and is trying to act appropriately, but kind of failing already. Um, so yeah, she mostly looks down at her hands as she just glances up and smiles and says, uh, "Thank you for your invitation, Sir Falern."
You're welcome. You had asked for a lesson in etiquette so you can be prepared for your future endeavors. What is
Yes.
Willow wearing specifically?
She is wearing like, just kind of random teen or sort of clothing, like a simple t-shirt that might be a little oversized. Just a pair of jeans, nothing like with holes in it or anything. It's a neat like dark blue pair of jeans, but it's still just a pair of jeans and a pair of sneakers, and especially the jeans and the sneakers are probably wet. Like there might even be a couple of like drops on the floor around her.
So Sir Flaren he looks at her and says, "Where have you failed so far?"
Um, in general or right now, sir?
From the moment you left your residence to now, where have you failed?
Um, as her mind is mostly racing on like, okay, behavioral errors. She not doesn't immediately think of her clothing. I did I fail to greet the butler properly?
I don't know. I wasn't there for that greeting.
Oh, right. Um, did I mispronounce your name?
No, your pronunciation is adequate.
Um, I know I kind of lost my balance with the curtsy. Um,
True.
Perhaps I'm sitting wrong?
You are. Go on.
She kind of, as there's like a water drop kind of falling past her, like hair that's sort of, it's not in front of her face, but it's like on the side. She's like, oh, I didn't bring an umbrella, so my hair is probably a mess.
It is. Go on.
Mm, backpack?
What about the backpack?
Was I not allowed to bring it in here?
That depends. Is there something in your backpack that will assist you in this meeting?
No. No, sir.
And why are you still carrying it?
Because it is important to me?
And when the butler asked to take your coat, you didn't give him the backpack.
No.
Why? Why is that?
Because there's something valuable to me inside of the backpack?
So you don't trust me? You think I'm
No.
going to steal your backpack?
No.
Are you calling me a thief?
No, sir.
You're implying
No.
I'm a thief. See my
That
point?
was right. That was not my intention, sir. Um, I
Etiquette is not about your is very little to do with your intent, and it's exactly on how you present yourself. You fail to account for the weather, so your hair is a mess. You're wearing improper clothing to a meeting of nobility. It's rather insulting. You come in jeans, a t-shirt, and sneakers. You've brought in water from the outside. You tracked it into my study, and you're now sitting on my very expensive chair, which is now wet.
she'll shoot up immediately from the chair.
Sit down. It's too late. You've insulted me by implying I'm a thief by keeping your backpack on you and close by. I don't know if you think that there's something in your backpack that I desire. I live in a very nice house, and I'm a noble. I can't imagine anything you possess that I would want to steal from you. You're
If
slacking forward, your legs aren't crossed. Shall I continue?
yes, sir, please continue. As Willow will sit up more straight and will cross her legs.
The key to etiquette is how you are presented, never your intention. The littlest things can insult someone, as the implications of your actions can be interpreted negatively, then they probably will be.
Okay. Then how would I properly represent something that I'm not afraid you would steal from me, but I just want to keep close by me?
Why does it need to be close by you?
Because I feel attached to it.
Then hide it elsewhere, or allow my butler to take it.
It's big.
Those are your two options in this scenario. Either you don't bring it with you, or you give it to my butler. You can tell the butler the importance of it and trust that you're under my roof, you're under my protection, and so are your possessions.
Very well. I understand, sir. Then I will, if your butler comes back, I will hand him over the backpack.
It's not necessary at this time. It's already been done. Your
Mm.
clothing signifies you're having a meeting with a friend. I'm not your friend.
No, sir.
You're a commoner meeting with a noble, and you should dress as such.
Then what would have been appropriate for a commoner meeting a noble, sir? Because
Traditionally,
hmm?
since you're coming for an informal meeting, more of a lesson, then you don't have to go too extravagant, but a nice pair of slacks, nice blouse, an evening dress, all would be appropriate.
I see.
If my countess, who I owe fealty to, asks me to come to her, I'm going to dress to my best. That is how I show her respect.
I do apologize for my lack of suitable attire.
I'm not insulted. This is a learning moment. So now you know. When meeting with a noble, you always dress well,
Mm-hmm.
always know the weather, and plan your outfit and protection accordingly.
Yes. I was not aware of how long your driveway would be. I didn't want a taxi to drop me off at your house, so I walked.
There's nothing wrong with a taxi pulling up to my front door.
I understand.
Soon you're going to be a baroness. Such walk is beneath you.
But what if I would like to walk?
Then that would be viewed as odd.
Is that bad? I will probably be viewed as odd anyway.
That's up to you.
Hmm.
I'm just teaching you etiquette. It's up to you what you actually practice.
So it's considered bad etiquette to come up to your estate walking,
It's
being
odd.
a baroness.
Yes. It's not necessarily an etiquette breach. It's just odd.
I see.
It's not something traditional baronesses do. So it will further separate you from the others of your station. Things you do will inevitably look good or bad upon Voidfrost.
Yes, I'm aware of that. Might I ask you a question that might breach the rules of etiquette, sir?
You may.
How do you feel about the wedding of the Baron and myself? Your honest opinion.
Do you promise that what I say stays between us and you'll never tell a soul?
Yes.
It's insulting.
I see.
It's not just you're a commoner. There are commoner nobles. So you're a common commoner. You have no etiquette. You don't even know how to properly address yourself to different titles. You are completely and totally unprepared for what you face. And there'll be many, many people who will be below you and view that as an insult. Because in Dublin alone, there are far better people who deserve to be a baron or baroness than you.
I understand. And to a certain point, I might even agree with you. So, would you, what would your guess be as to why Baron Voidfrost would choose someone like me?
Let's just work under the assumption that the rest of this conversation, until I say otherwise, will stay strictly between you and I.
Everything in this room will stay in this room.
Voidfrost is using you or going to use you for something. Voidfrost is Varich. Varich are incapable of love. Physically incapable. He's not marrying you for love because he can't feel that emotion. Just like Fiona can't feel fear. So if he's not marrying you for love, what else could it be?
Indeed, what else? As you've already pointed out, sir, I am insignificant. Just a commoner, nothing special. I would hardly be missed if I was not here.
Valerian kind of shakes his head. He looks disappointed.
Did I say something wrong, sir?
You are insignificant because that is what you choose to be. Just because you're a commoner doesn't make you insignificant. We live in a feudal system, so therefore you are beneath nobility. That is just the way of things. But there are plenty insignificant knights and squires. There are plenty of insignificant nobles. Being a commoner just means you have to work harder. It's understanding and accepting that some people are going to step on you. The sooner you accept that as an inevitability, the lot easier your life is going to be. I am but a knight. There are barons and counts and dukes above me, and they are more important than I am. Sometimes they step on me, and that is their privilege. Until I raise in station, it is inevitable. So if you feel you're insignificant, that is of your own doing, and you only have yourself to blame.
I've never considered insignificant to be a bad thing, per se. My
Why is it not?
my grandmother taught me that it is, as a commoner, it is a good thing to be invisible, to not be seen by those above us, to keep your head down and your feet moving. And then I was noticed. And I tried to do what I should do, which is whatever those of higher station tell me to do. And I did. And I let them, as you say, step on me. And I ended up being engaged.
Since we're dealing with honesty, do you love Baron Voidfrost?
I think that is a very complicated question.
Not really. There are three possible answers: yes, no, and I don't know.
I deeply respect him. I think he's trying to do what he feels is just and right.
How is marrying you just and right? Were
I
you
don't know.
wronged in some way?
Mhm. I
Is
was
your
never.
marrying him somehow right or wrong?
I mean, I cannot look into his head. I can have a few ideas as to why he decided to do so.
Oh, why is that?
He was called out, so perhaps he didn't want to lose face. Which means that once the wedding is over, it is just a. Hmm. I've heard people say that he did it to get better ties with the commoners in his barony.
His barony is struggling.
So it would be a political move. Uh,
It's pretty standard amongst she political marriages.
yes, I can understand that. But as you pointed out, there are many, even amongst the commoners, that would be better suited for a place as his baroness. So I do not know. I do not know why he did what he did.
Have you asked him?
He's been very busy lately. I've not had a chance to speak him alone.
Maybe you should.
Mm, indeed.
Are you aware of all of the noble houses?
I am still learning our history, so I know a few, but I do not know all of them by heart.
It's fairly basic information.
Mm.
I suggest you learn them and quickly.
Yes, sir.
As someone's house can change how you interact with them.
Then how would I best interact with you, sir?
Well, what is my house?
You are of House Ailil.
And what does that mean?
Mm. I'm cursing myself out of character for not reading the books properly.
Got you.
Oh yes, definitely. I'm notorious for not reading the books and just playing by ear, but that doesn't mean that you actually need to hear the shit. I'm afraid I do not know, sir.
House Ileo is one of the main houses of the Unseelie Court. There is a debate between whether or not House Ileo or House Verich should be running the whole thing. Our nicknames are dragons, as because it's in our coat of arms. As you
Oh.
probably see, yeah, he wears his coat of arms almost all the time.
Hmm. Actually, as you mentioned that, Willow's eyes will kind of go back to the backpack and then focus back on Sifalern.
Yes. Yes.
Sorry?
The My house is best known for being gifted politicians and strategists, and some say manipulators, but such is the way of politics. One of the more common phrases associated with my house is when dealing with a member of House Ileel, you would best think 3 steps ahead. That way, you're probably only 2 steps behind.
I see.
A lot of people view my house as dishonest, but nothing could be farther from the truth. We take oaths incredibly seriously. But you know of House Verich?
House Verich is an unseelie house. It is known for its bravery.
Every house can say that.
Mm, this is fair. Those who tend to flock to the house are often those who are heartbroken. They hail originally from Russia. That's as far as I've gotten.
House Verich are known as weavers. They tend to see patterns in things that others do not. And it said they have frozen hearts. Will you be joining House Verich?
I know that is what's to be expected of me by the Baron.
You have to join a house if you're going to be Baroness. No one's going to respect a baroness with no house. And it leaves you unprotected.
I don't see a reason to go against the wishes of my future husband. So,
Taking the oath to House Verich will freeze your heart just as it does Void Frost.
I am aware.
Did Void Frost tell you that it's not necessary to join his house?
It was mentioned, but implied that it would be mm,
Problematic.
not preferred.
True, but soon you're going to be Baroness, equal to Void Frost.
So, what would your advice be then?
Grow a backbone, or the she politics will eat you alive. If you continue on your present course, you'll be nothing but a puppet to House Varish and your husband. Is that what you want out of your life? A puppet?
I want to mean something. I want to help those who need it.
In order to do that, you're going to have to prove to everyone that you deserve to be Baroness because of your strength of character, your sense of duty and responsibility, and not just because you're betting a Baron. There have been many, many commoners who have betted Barons. Is that all you're going to be?
No, sir.
Well, I suggest the first thing is to learn your houses. Learn what they're about. Learn their flaws. Learn their strengths. That way you can tailor your interactions with them as needed.
I will make it a priority.
Do you know the difference between an Arcadian and Autumn She?
I was told that the Autumn She remained on this world where the Acadians left somewhere during the Middle Ages.
Close enough. And we have just recently returned.
Yes.
I myself have only been on this drab world for several years. I have been gifted and cursed with a strong memory. Oh, see, I have Remembrance 4.
Nice. I I don't think I can even begin to imagine the things that you've seen. But I would not call this world drab. It holds many wonders.
I'm sure it does.
Why have you returned?
I don't remember. The mist has taken that memory from me.
I'm sorry to hear that. Maybe if you knew, you wouldn't consider this world so bad.
It's equally possible that I was caught doing something manipulative and exiled,
Perhaps so.
in which I'm here against my will. So, what have you learned today?
I've learned that first and foremost, the most important thing is to know who you're about to meet. Be prepared. Know your place within the meeting. And dress accordingly.
So, now that you've taken my measure, what are you going to do next time we meet?
I know the advice would be to plan 3 steps ahead. But I am not someone who manipulates. I am not someone who can scheme. I do
If you're
not
not the
want to.
manipulator, then you're being manipulated.
No, I disagree with that, sir.
Based on your extensive knowledge of she politics.
I think I believe you can be neither. Someone can attempt to manipulate. That does not mean that I should manipulate them.
Why not?
Because I believe no one deserves to be manipulated.
Why do you think manipulation is a bad thing?
Because I believe that one should follow their own minds, make their own choices, their own faults, instead of being told what to do, what to feel, and what to think.
That's not manipulation, that's domination.
Hmm.
Let's say, hypothetical scenario, you had a friend who is in desperate need of money. You're unable to get this money. You're unable to go to Void Frost to get this money. As you can see, I have money. So if you wanted to ask me for it, what would you do? How would you come and approach me?
I would explain the situation.
You're skipping steps.
Uh, Dress appropriately.
What's appropriate? You're not coming for us to have an informal conversation. You're coming and you're asking something of me. So what's appropriate? Are you
I
not
would
going to try to dress to impress me?
no,
Why not?
because if I were to try and impress you, it would look like I would not be in need of your assistance.
Don't you think I would look favorably if you came in dressed very well?
I would choose something simple but well made, so as to not outshine you and not presume to be better than you.
You think you possess the means of outshining me?
No, sir,
Continue.
but it might seem that I might try to do it.
Okay. Continue.
I would make sure that I would know what to say, how to address you, know your background somewhat, and I would make an appointment instead of just dropping on your doorstep. And I would make this request.
Would you just ask me for money?
I would explain the situation. But yes,
Do you think someone of my station would care enough about the plight of a commoner to give money like that? Especially if they're not within my bailiwick? They're not of my responsibility. Do you think coming to an ideal with that approach would work?
I presume not, since you're implying it would not.
I've just told you that we use politics. We're politicians at heart, strategists and manipulators.
So what you're saying is that I should make it worth your while. I should try and find a reason why this would be favorable to you.
Yes. If you were to approach a member of the House Gwydion, it would appeal to their sense of honor. If you were to appeal to a member of House Fiona, you would appeal to their generosity and their free spiritedness. I'm unseelie and give next to nothing about honor, and I'm not generous by nature. So how would you convince an Aileel to give you money? How would the giving them money benefit me?
That would depend on what you would need, I presume. If
It's
this,
obviously not the money back.
so it would depend on the skills of either myself or the commoner who would need the money.
Exactly. You have to give me something to make it worth my while. Now, when I woke up on this day, it was not in my mind to give money to a commoner. You come to me with an appointment. You dress well to appeal to my particular sensibilities. You would address me as necessary to show that you've been learning. You would present the issue and then present to me how it'll be worth my while. You have therefore changed the scenario to get the outcome you require out of me. You have there just now manipulated me. Is what you did wrong? I get something out of it. Your commoner friend gets out of their jam. Where is the wrongness in this scenario?
There is not necessarily.
So I ask again, is manipulation really a bad thing? Or as with any tool, it can be both good and bad.
I would prefer to be able to negotiate about it. You tell me what you want, and we would be able to mediate the best outcome for everyone.
Negotiation in the end is just manipulation. You're altering the scenario to get a favorable outcome. That, in essence, is manipulation. You just have it in your head that manipulation is bad.
So are you now manipulating me to make me understand how manipulation works?
Of course. I've been manipulating you since the moment I met you. Whether it's the actions I take or the things I say.
So what are you getting out of me being here?
That's a very good question. What do you think I am getting out of this?
Well, obviously the chance to manipulate me in case I do become a baroness.
Potentially. That would be very ideal of me. Do you think I have ill will towards you?
If you had ill will towards me, you would probably have left me blundering.
Very true. And I would use your blundering to better myself. Or if I didn't, someone else would.
Is that it then? Are you afraid that someone will abuse or use me?
I'm not afraid. I know someone would.
Hmm.
As with all nobility, Baron Voidfrost has enemies or things or people who wish him to fall. Why would they not use your blundering to best benefit them and hinder Voidfrost?
So why are you helping him then?
It's a very good question. Why do you think I'm helping Voidfrost?
Are you going to counter every question I ask you like that?
Do you routinely ask questions that you don't know the answer to?
If I would not know the answer of the question, would I ask the question in the first place?
If you don't have possible answers to the question, then you don't know enough to ask it to begin with. You should always suspect something, have possibilities in mind, and you use the question and their answer and their body language and their tone to either verify or throw away a possible conclusion you have in your mind. As we speak now, what do you think I'm thinking of? When I ask you a question and you answer it, what am I doing?
I think you're trying to get me more and more aware of the world I'm about to step into.
In the grand scheme of things, sure, but I'm thinking smaller. When I ask you a question, I'm watching for pupil dilation. I'm watching for your respiration to change. I'm seeing if your hands clench or unclench. I'm looking for signs that you're lying to me. I'm looking for signs that you're being truthful. I'm looking to see if what I'm saying is upsetting you or making you happy.
And what are your conclusions thus far?
I suspect that I am frustrating you. You're doing very well of maintaining control. I can be a very frustrating person. It's because I demand perfection of myself, and therefore I demand it in others.
You demand perfection, but in an imperfect world, there's no such thing as perfection.
Just because goals are unattainable doesn't mean you shouldn't strive for them.
But wouldn't that make you endlessly frustrated?
I take comfort in victory.
So you're convinced that at some point you will reach perfection again?
Maybe, maybe not.
I am feeling frustrated. Of course, who wouldn't be? I know that you've been playing this game called politics for many years where I am effectively
A
barely a
child.
year. Yes, my memories don't go back much further than a year. And a lot of that time I was not in a changeling society. I was merely one Selkie trying to make sense of what I've become. So all this politics, you've been able to perfect it over hundreds of years. And I have to learn it within weeks. That is frustrating. I will not be able to even try and grasp at this perfection for many more months. And I know I will be a risk, a weak spot. A weak spot in an armor that's been woven over many, many years, decades. I have wished many times that the Baron had picked someone else because I am woefully unprepared, and the few days that I have left will not be enough to get me prepared at all. But I am determined to do as well as I can and to show that despite many failures that I have, I will at least do the best I can, be the best person that I can be right now. Am I scared? Yes. I'm terrified. I can lose my life over this. I can lose many lives besides my own over this. But if all goes well, I will be able to achieve something, to help others to grow, and to, more importantly, let other people grow. That is what I want to do. So if that means that I must learn all these rules, learn all of these houses, learn how to dress appropriate, speak appropriate, then I will do so. Even if that's frustrating or scary.
It will be all of those things and more. But I'll teach you what I can.
Thank you. Even though I do not yet know what you will get out of it, I do appreciate that you're willing to do this.
Well, naturally, I'll get something out of it. There's no such thing as a selfless act. Everybody gets something out of it. Out of everything they do. Even if it's just the warm, fuzzy feelings in their stomach.
Sometimes those feelings are the best feelings. Speaking
Alright?
of warm and fuzzy, though, your house is called the Dragons, right? You just mentioned that.
Yes.
May I ask why?
We we share something with them.
Something. A blood relationship? Knowledge? Mindset?
All very good questions. And I'll answer none of them.
That is fair. Do you know how to hatch a dragon's egg?
He kind of just raises an eyebrow. That's a very odd question. Why do you ask?
Curiosity?
I can say that I do.
That dragon we encountered. Are they all like that?
And I suspect that one is particularly damaged. That whole experience was very troubling, but is a good example of what is expected out of nobility. It is our task to lead and to protect those under your charge.
Yes.
Sure, there are privileges to being noble, but in the case of this dragon, it was mine and Sir Christian's responsibility to be the last ones out, to make sure that at all times you and the others were protected.
That was quite honorable.
It was duty.
That does not mean that we should not be grateful.
That is up to you. A noble who doesn't protect his charges won't remain in power for very long.
Then I suppose I should learn how to fight.
It's always a good thing to know how to fight, but martial prowess isn't necessary to protect others. But you should know how to use a sword.
I've tried to use a sword, well, short sword, once before. I was not very effective.
No one is at first. It's not one of those things you're born knowing how to do.
I suppose not.
Before we wrap up this particular day of lessons, do you have any questions about what we've gone over?
Mm, only the ones you didn't want to answer. And I do understand.
The houses are secretive by nature, some more than others.
Of course. You have to in order to survive, I presume.
Very true.
I thank you for your wisdom so far.
You're welcome.
I will make sure not to embarrass you if I were to allow another visit. To be allowed another visit. English is hard.
Sure. There'll be another lesson.
Thank you, sir. Then I will not take up any more of your time.
Have a good night.
And you as well, Sir Falern. And yeah, Willow will stand up, and this time does the curtsy before hoisting the backpack on her back. And we'll go and fetch her her jacket. and leave.
As you leave, you notice that the butler was always close by, so he was like right outside waiting and had your jacket ready.
Yay.
And just because it hasn't been included yet. Um, as you're leaving, you'll hear from upstairs someone calling for Sean, and then it's a female voice. It sounds a little weak, and Sir Falaren will call us back up. Yes, I'll be there momentarily. And it's probably the softest you've ever heard Sir Valerian speak.
Willow will take note of that, and she'll leave quickly because none of her business, at least not yet. And as she comes outside, she basically has her backpack swung over one shoulder. She kind of grabs it so that she can just quickly open it and look at the dragon's egg that is inside.
Hmm, awesome.
Um, I think with that we can call it a scene.
Sure.
Thank you, Play, for playing, and thank you, future watchers, for watching. And this was another scene for Darkness in Dublin.